Good evening, everyone. Peace, peace, peace. You already know we back. Sister Audrey and Brother Elliott. We're back again for another great show that's going to be coming your way today.
Good afternoon, family. We're glad you all have joined us again. We appreciate you taking time to be here with us again today. I'm co-hosting with my sister until she kicks me off, and I know it's coming soon. So,
Listen
she's
to
going to
him.
birth us our own show because she gonna get tired of seeing me on here, sitting over here talking with her all the
time. No. He's been a great co-host. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate he's on here with us. We need you all to like, share, and subscribe to 810 News Media Group. And we also need you to do us another favor. Hit that Cash App.
All right, send us them donations the same way y'all did for Vice President Harris. So you can send us in the same thing. You got 24 hours to make us do the same thing because we really going to do something with it.
Yes, we are.
Y'all play too much. Man.
Yes,
y'all
we are
in love with one thing and ain't in love with the other thing that's going to give you the best health and the best food.
Yes, he is telling the truth. We can do it. That was a demonstration to us of what can really be done in our communities. Just think if each one of us in all of these great big cities, small cities that's out here supporting, and we all donated money like that to help us in our own community and make our communities a better place. We wouldn't be crying and whining about ARPA dollars, would we?
We wouldn't need anything.
we wouldn't need
anything else because as people who work in the community, we're clear about the needs of the community. Yes. It's not going to be wasted on begging somebody for something else because it's about community support. It's not about asking somebody else to do something for us.
That's right. And then think about it. Once the donations is done and gone, you got to still keep begging for more donations. But if you're doing it for yourself, you ain't got to keep begging and asking for more donations to be donated to you and grant dollars to be given to you. You know, grant dollars is good in its place.
Yeah, but that means somebody else controls their money, and and because they control the ink, and you don't. They control the narrative of what you can do with those dollars as well. Yeah. So we're talking about liberation and freedom, and that's where I think people get scared. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that? Let me say it one more time.
Say it.
When you start talking about liberation and freedom and being free from a system that people complain about but don't want to do anything about, we don't want to make donations to that.
Right.
We want to make donations to something else because it looks historic. Yes. Liberation and freedom is historic, and that's what we should be working towards.
Yes.
Not left wing, right wing, same bird.
Right, exactly.
Brother, make you free, I'm going to need that shirt.
Oh, I like that.
That's his new nickname, y'all. Y'all got to call him Mickey Free.
Mickey Free.
Yeah, that's Mickey Free.
That is so wonderful. Yeah, that makes me think about a lot of the times when we have the large platforms, like when we had the Million Man March, how that monies that came in by donation dollars.
That's right.
It was easy. Coca-Cola and them wanted to sponsor. There was other big corporations that wanted to sponsor, and the group. Don't think it was just Minister Farrakhan. The group. You had pastors and you had community leaders who said, "No, we want to do this on our own because we don't want you to control our narrative."
That's right. And so
want you to control our narrative.
Corporate entities make donations, then they can control what you want to say.
Yes,
they can control what you can do. And their biggest thing is if you're gonna make donations, or we make donations to you, then we're gonna tell you how to use that money. Right. They're not gonna let you sit around there and talk about we want you to not use our product or not use whatever or do this. Oh, you talking about being free and having people not use our products and no, we don't want that. We want to continue the same cycle.
Right.
So yes, I think that in my small, humble opinion, and this is mine and mine only, that all the donations, especially by large corporations, they're the ones that are going to control the narrative in that situation. Because that's what they do.
That's what they do.
That's what their job is.
That's what they do. Yeah, they do it. I agree with you.
But we still can send donations for us to continue to.
There you go.
Put on not only this program, but maybe we want to be able to purchase this building so we can add additional programming to this building.
Exactly.
We're talking about doing something about liberation and freedom.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That's gonna be coming. We gotta work ourselves toward that. I just
if people can do it in 24 hours,
yes,
they can do it right now. We ain't got to keep on working and begging people to help us do something different for our community and the rest of the world. But they did that in 24 hours for somebody else.
Yes.
Who was not gonna promise you anything.
Yes.
But anyway, get off my soapbox. Hold on. Where's my book? Let me put my box down. Hold on. Put my box over here.
Let me just tell y'all.
Right.
If you supporting any candidate, I don't care who it is, and we done had these promises since when was when was the promises when was the water crisis first announced? We knew the water was bad.
We can go back to 1860.
Woo. But we know for sure that in 2016, when it was declared that Flint was poison, every candidate has come on a soapbox and promised, we gonna fix Flint. We gonna fix Flint. And none of them came back. And it wasn't but the ones that lost that said that they was gonna do it. Within 2 months, they disappeared. You don't even hear from them. I'm just gonna say it. You don't hear from them. And we tired. They say we Flint strong. Flint residents is resilient. But Flint residents is also tired of you using our good name to pimp, to try to get and win and get your own agenda won, and knowing good and well you ain't thinking about the people and the citizens of Flint. But we just want you, as you go out and present to whichever candidate you decide that you're supporting. I don't care if it's the Democrats, the Republicans, whatever Democrat you're supporting, ask them what do they promise they gonna do and what can they do for Flint. Tell them to tell you where all them billions of dollars that was donated for Flint. Tell them to tell you where they're at, because they got billions of dollars that was donated from philanthropists around the world that we never saw. Just know that. They know where it's at. FEMA knows. The rest of them knows. They know where the money is at. I've had people to call me from across the country, like Sister Audrey. Y'all going in the wrong direction looking. That ain't where the money is at. That's not where it's at. And they got money set aside to where all of you all can have your pipes and things fixed in your house. It's not anybody on the local level that had that. That came from at the national level, trickled on down. So just know that we got to make sure that we standing firm on that. I did want to segue us into our topic, which we will let you know our topic in a few minutes, because I'm going to let brother start that topic off. Me and him had a little dialogue beforehand. But I do want to remind us all that in October the 16th is what we call Holy Day of Atonement. And it's the celebration of the Million Man March from 1965, right. 1995.
Right, that's right.
So I'm just going to tell you, that day every year, I have declared I will not work. That's my day of one of my days I'm declaring as being of independence. And many of us don't know that since the Million Man March, some of us say, well, what have we done? There's been many organizations who have kicked off since then. Some have dissolved, but there was many that was kicked off, and we need to reiterate and get ourselves back in our community, learn how to atone properly in our community, learn how to come out of our communities and do what we need to do, because truth is, if we don't take care of our community, ain't nobody else gonna do it. Nobody else is gonna do it for us. And not only just that, just the week before that, and I'll say this, the week before that is the celebration. We celebrate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's birthday anniversary. His birth anniversary is October the 7th. And I'm putting together, I'm gonna give away some message to the Black man books to some people in our community who may not have ever read it, may not have ever heard of it, may not have ever had it. It's a book that was written by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that talks to us. This book came out in the 60s. Yep, 60, but when I read it,
61 that book came out.
Man, let me tell you, when you read it, it's like reading history right now as it's playing out in front of us. Well, many of our books. And then I'm also going to help you how to eat the lives that I will be giving away too. Okay. So stay tuned, because we may do something. I may do something to figure out a way to, how we're going to disperse those. Because I know if I say I'm going to give them away, I probably have 100 people come on and say they want it. But we want to make sure that we get some. Who knows? Who knows what might happen from this? We may be able to get some people to donate and say, let's donate to help you get some books to give away in the community. But I do want to give some books away. And because his birth anniversary is on a Monday, I will not be working that day. So I will be off in the community doing community advocacy for his birth anniversary. I'm just waiting. I don't go ahead of my leader, who's in my midst, which is our Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because last year we fed the community. Mm-hmm. We fed the community for his birth anniversary. We also, I think on the Holy Day of Atonement, fed the community. Yep, I remember. For that. So I want to make sure I don't go ahead of them and be making announcements. So I do know that me personally, I will be giving those books away, but I'll also be keeping you in tune on what we're going to be doing there. And I wanted to read this and then let you segue in. There was something I saw up on Facebook that was a quote of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It says, I don't understand why two people who say they believe in Allah, God, can't get along. I thought that was so powerful because that's because one or two people really don't believe in God the way they say, and they believe in the principles. That doesn't mean that it's intentional. They just got to learn how to have a stronger faith and learn how to have a stronger belief. But that's my opinion, is that those two people are not studying enough. They're not leaning enough on God's hand, because how can you say that you believe in God but don't want to follow the word that you say that you see written in front of you, that you say has come from God in both the Quran and in the Bible? You got to follow those words to show strong faith and strong belief. So I'm gonna leave it there, and then you want me to tell them what the subject is?
I'm gonna let you tell them, and then we're gonna jump into that.
Okay. So today's subject, we're talking about colorization. Us with the different shades of melanin that we have in us. And the reason why it was sparked me, and yes, Sister Audrey sometimes watch the shows she shouldn't necessarily watch, but I was watching College Hill, and it was an episode that had Amber Rose and the little girl who played Katie on My Wife and Kids, and both of them are biracial. So Katie's mom is white with a black father, and Amber Rose's mom is black with a white father. And they were saying that it's times where they've learned that people will tell them that they're too white to be black. Blacks will tell them they're too white to be black, and whites will tell them they're too black to be white. So they stuck in this middle of the road thing where they're trying to learn and find their own identity and where they fit. And they said, why can't I just be me? Like Amber Rose said, there's times that she liked to listen to heavy metal, but there's times where she wanted to listen to hardcore rap, or she want to listen to R&B. Why can't she just be comfortable there without being judged on being biracial? My mother, I'll never forget being a child. And I grew up. And there was a biracial family that lived in our community. And I called them half-breed. Boy, my mama went up one side of me and down down the other side of me. She said, one thing is for certain in life, you can't never help where you came from as far as who your parents are. That you cannot help. And she told me, don't you ever call nobody half-breed again. Mm-hmm. Never called them that again. I might have been 13 or 14 years old. I can still hear my mama, still hear you, Josie, saying it in my ear from way back then. Didn't know what that meant. Don't understand what that meant to that person that I was saying it to. But now, as an older, more seasoned adult, I understand, because as I was telling you all earlier, there have been times where Sister Audrey is a lot darker than what she used to be when she was a child. And I was light and being ridiculed for being light. And I still hear often we make a difference between us of being light or dark. Like I've heard someone who said, you can't get two high yellow women in the same room together. They're going to be competing. Things like that. But we are all black. I'm going to let you go ahead and kick in, bro. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I see you all up there. Good evening.
So part of the unfortunate thing that we have with social media is that people are allowed to give opinions about some things that they really It's none of their business. That's number one.
True.
Number two, um, if that forces figures that are in the public to have to explain to other people why they like certain things or why they're this, that, or whatever it was, and whatever the context is, that's other people who think that their opinion matters in somebody else's life.
Yep.
I recall, was it last season that Coach Prime said something about, I don't, and I'm quoting it horribly. Your value of your view of me and your opinion of me don't matter because it's got nothing to do with my life.
That's right. That's right.
That's your view and your opinion.
Right.
That my question with that is, or issue maybe, I don't know whether it's a question or issue, is why are they even allowing other people to put them in a position where they have to question anything? If you like, she likes, one person likes heavy metal and one person listen to all this other stuff and anything else, who, that's what you like.
Right.
And that's okay with that being what you like. But if you're allowing other people to be judgmental of you based upon discrepant, a race, a racial description that was created in the 1400s on purpose to cause division amongst people, then that's a view of self-esteem, not group esteem. Okay, because if you look on the continent, even before other groups of people came on the continent, there were distinctive colors of people from the end of South Africa all the way to northern Kemet, right? Distinctive groups. Most along the equator are very dark because that's where you have the highest concentration of the sun.
Right.
Further south you go, they got a little bit lighter. The further north you go, you got a little bit lighter. But along the equator, the concentration of people in the colors that they are is very, very dark in order to be able to protect them from the rays of the sun, period. So this whole idea of race doesn't come into play until, I want to say, Pope Nicholas the Fourth, I think, in 1441. That comes up with this idea of race. And then from there, we have, as other groups of people come into power and start to dominate the scene in the world, they're the ones that created this idea to continue to keep division amongst people. Go back to what we talked about and mentioned several times, what happened in Rwanda and Burundi, right? One group is taller than the other group, but y'all the same color in the same group. But there's another group, the Belgians or the Dutch, that are there that are dictating who's what. That's the same thing you just mentioned. You put two light-skinned women in a room together, and there's going to be competition. That's because we've been brainwashed to believe that a certain color, the closer it is to being this idea, is better than any other color. But no color comes from anything other than black.
That's it.
Okay. Even if you do a science experiment and you take a triangular prism and you show light through it, the color in a dark room, make sure y'all understand this, put it in a dark room. That means the room is pitch black. You take a flashlight, you shine it through the prism. And the prism, the light will come through on one side, the white light will come through on one side. And because the way that the prism is made, it'll break it up into all of the different colors of the spectrum, the 9 different colors of the spectrum of the rainbow. There's actually 4, but if you mix them together, you get 9 other ones. Right. So that tells you that from black comes every other color. So this thing where we're fighting about this person is dark, I don't like that person because they dark skinned, or they this and all of these riddles and all this other stuff that if you white you right, if you black get back, all of that other crazy stuff that we were we were taught. Well, but right, that we were taught was something that was put into our psyche to use to continue to divide us.
Right. Exactly.
And that's all this is. There's another the groups that were walking around, and if you wanted to be in a fraternity, you had to pass the paper bag test. That type of insanity. If you didn't pass the paper bag test, you couldn't be in a fraternity or sorority. And even if you look at many fraternities, fraternal groups now, and I know this is a general statement, so you all please correct me if I'm wrong. If we look at fraternal groups now, and I could be wrong again, please correct, because I don't know them all. I don't know everybody in there. But what it seems like is certain groups have this particular look as compared to other groups, as compared to other groups, as compared to other groups.
Yes.
And I could be wrong. Please correct me. And I've even noticed that as a teacher in class, that if there are certain groups of people, young men, young women, and I have little people this year, that are sit beside each other based upon something that they share. And as I looked at it in class, it's like, okay, I got a group of young men here that are a little darker, even though they play sports, and that's my group of young people that play sports or whatever. And then I got a group of my other artists that sit over here, and they may be fair skinned or whatever. And I look at that dynamic and I'm like, why do you all do that? And part of it is they have something in common. I get that. But I'm hoping that it's not the dynamic, is because I'm sitting over here because this is my group and this is the group that I'm comfortable with. And we kind of act a certain way because we've been told that we're not as smart or as brilliant or as intelligent as other people are, because the other group of people that sit over here are more fair skinned than we are. And we sit over here because we're, more deemed to be not as intelligent as other people, as everybody else in our group. So, but that's the psychosis that we're dealing with.
Gotcha. Yes. Yes, I agree. I agree. And it's unfortunate that this, like you say, that self-esteem factor that's there, but it's a reality. Well, it's not, might not be, it might be a tainted reality, but it is a reality. So you got the person who from kindergarten, first grade, all the way up through their life, or even maybe even younger, who may not, like she said, I lived in an area to where there was schools I couldn't go to certain schools because I wasn't white. So my white relatives could go to that school, but I couldn't. So she ended up feeling the wrath of the separations and some of the stuff at an early age. But then you go into where you think that you're my family, you're my friends. Why are you treating me this way because of my color or because of me being biracial? Why are you treating me a certain way and everything? And so after time, like water wears on stone, it wears on you. I actually saw the episode where she exploded and jumped on the young lady who told her that her problem is she just want to be white. I mean, it ended up becoming a physical altercation because she had gotten tired, and the woman kept saying, I mean, the girl, I just said it was Jocelyn. She just kept on, you want to be white. That's your problem. Da, da, da. And then she kept going on. Just admit it. Just admit it. That wasn't her place to even say that. But why are we as people even thinking that? That's
part of our psyche.
That's mainly my concern. Her concern with her self-esteem is there too. But the person who feels that way,
that's their issue as well.
They have the same issue with the self-esteem. So what can we do? What can we do as people?
So first of all, the most important thing that we have to do as people is stop worrying about self, because self is me, and that's selfish. It's only about me. It's only about me. So, my self-esteem this, my self-esteem that. Oh, my, me. That's you're a small, minor group by yourself.
Right.
But if we understand,
self-preservation is the first law of nature.
Okay, all right. Because if you attach, but here, okay, hold on.
It's a little but if you attach,
no, because if you're attached to a group, and you understand that 80% of the, if not more, of the population on the planet look like you. Why are you worried about just me, my own little self? If we have 7 billion people, 8 billion people on the planet, and you're only worried about one, and you're one out of 1/8 billion, and you're not clear that 5.5 billion people look like you all over the world, then you're only worried about my self-esteem, not my group. Because if I'm looking at the accomplishments of my group, no group has ever built a pyramid other than our group. No group has ever built civilizations, the Great Zimbabwe, the Great Wall in Benin that they tried to tear down, that's larger and longer and higher and bigger than the Great Wall of China, which was built by the Mongols, which is black people.
Right.
But if we understand those things, right? If we understand that we're connected to something much larger, then I'm not going to sit around here and have an argument with somebody over why you think I'm trying to be white. I'm not. Because my parents might have been one black, one white, and they created me, I'm identifying with who, by rule of law of nature, is I'm identifying with the group that I look like. Because the thing that people like to do most, even as scientists, is we like to classify things, right? But where do we get that from? Get that from European, because they say that you have to have this in this box and this in this box and this in this box so I can identify you. Well, if you identify like Amber Rose is very, very fair skinned, right? So there are Berbers in North Africa who are African, and she clearly has African features. The way she's built, what she looks like, her facial structure, that look like her. Same thing with I don't remember what the young lady's name. Same thing. Yeah. So these people that are creating this discord, because that's exactly what it is, are doing nothing but continue to create division for no reason other and people are answering it. For what?
That's true.
So if she likes rock and roll and she likes this, and I like heavy metal and I like R&B and I like this and that and other and all this other stuff, who cares? You just like music. I actually took a class this summer called The History of Rock and Roll through Delta College. Excellent class. I heard a whole bunch of music that I hadn't remembered and heard in a long time. And I still because when you go fishing and you up north somewhere, or you up where you can't get a radio station, but this one, and they only get this one radio station, you can end up tending to like the music.
Like when you was a child growing up in Flint, and Wham used to go off with the sun,
right?
Going down.
And personally, there were times when we would be up north because my dad and his buddies would take a trip up north, way up north, and you only heard French, but they were playing American music. The only music that they played was rock and roll. So you kind of, but then when you find out that the roots of rock and roll is African people anyway, it's so what? I'm not arguing with nobody about what I listen to on my radio.
Right.
That's what I like.
Right. No, she was just using that more so as as showing how people, say, because she was listening to her music and then they were all together. So that's why that part ended up coming up with her listen. But I definitely understand exactly what it is that they are doing. Wait a minute, let me finish. I understand what you're saying, because we're a small part of a greater whole. We're a small part. We are not there yet. We have to grow to get there. Many of us may not make it there, but we are not there, and that is a strong reality. And even in our own household, and in many of our own households, many of our own families, we are not there. We look at the colorism, and think, like, I had a relative that told me that her mother favored her sister more than she did her, because her sister was lighter skinned and she was darker complected, and her sister favored more like their aunts. that was like lighter skin on the aunts on their other side of family. So you end up, that's a reality. It happens. I will not try to take that away from that. But what is it that we have to do as a whole? Because once you get scarred, now you got to go back and work to get unscarred, which is some of the other stuff. Self-esteem is, I say, on the other side of you, that self-esteem is very important, because if you have low self-esteem, you are not going to be, it's like having the weakest link in a chain. That if your self-esteem is low, how are you going to be a strong link in the chain of us helping to build the big diaspora of of us as a whole? So that's something that we have to definitely, we definitely have to work on, making mockery of small parts. Like I had, like, you go back into looking at Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, may Allah be pleased with him, but they talked about how he was made mockery of, like, his broadness of his nose when he was a child. So what did he do? Have all those plastic surgeries, started slimming down his nose. That was what I just read and heard somewhere, that was what happened. But that was a part of him. His children, now his offsprings, any of them gonna always have those genetic features that's gonna resemble what he originally looked like, or from the other parent. But just the same, we have to stop as people. We have to stop that. As that, because it is, regardless of what we want to say should happen, the reality is what is happening.
Well, and again, this goes back to understanding
Mm-hmm.
who we are
Right.
originally,
Right.
and then who we were crafted to be
Mm-hmm.
after we were so-called free, right?
Right.
So now we're the whole idea of being segregated, being Jim Crowed, being de facto segregation, and all of these other things is
Right.
about not groups. It's
Right.
about individuals.
Yes.
So when we talk about having self-esteem issues, we're only talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm saying group, we're all included.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're just as important to me as
Right.
he's important to me,
Right.
as your children are important to me, as his children are important to me, as I hope my children are important to you all,
Right.
because we're forming a group.
Right.
And if we have a group, then I can't be, myself
Mm-hmm.
is a small part of the group. So if there's 16 people, then there are 15 people I can rely on in order to help me strengthen the chain, so that the links in the chain are all going to be one stronger chain instead of one link that we know is weak, because I'm relying on my group to hold me up and to help me rebuild myself, instead of worrying about well, you did this and I got that, but still I'm still here because I'm relying on my group.
Right.
We know what the other culture has. See, this is the other thing, is we don't want to go back and study all of the stuff that happened to us,
Mm-hmm.
that created these divisions. You got 800,000 people killed in 100 days, all because the Belgians or the Dutch told one group that you're more like me because you're taller, and they're less like you, so it's okay for you to destroy them. 800,000 people in 100 days. That's psychology. And all of this stuff is psychology. The self-esteem is psychological.
Right.
Okay. Dr. Bobby Wright, and I mentioned this before, wrote a pamphlet called The Psychopathic Racial Personality. Changing images changing the images of psychological slavery by Dr. Naeem Akbar. Both of those, get them, because what it does is it breaks that stuff down, and it breaks that stuff up, right? The ISIS papers, like Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, same thing. It starts to break it down so that we can start to see, okay, wait a minute. I don't care nothing about, you mean to tell me people in North Africa look like me? People in South Africa look like me? And these are indigenous people with
Right.
very little, if no, um, interaction with other groups, and they were just born that way. Or wow, then again, personal story, real quick, going to Africa, Senegal, and seeing they thought I was Fulani because of the way that I'm built. You know, thin, fair complected. They're Fulani people over there. They haven't been, for the most part, interacted with other groups.
Right.
So and the only reason why they didn't think I was Fulani is because I talk. Oh, you're American. No, I'm African. I'm just like you. The only difference is I've been stuck in this language for a long time. Oh, well, you need to come back home. You've been gone a long time. You talk like them. That's what they told me. They kept fussing. You talk like them. You need to come home and go back so you can learn the language again because you lost it. You need to come back. Because being pulled into a group, and I don't care nothing about none of the rest of that. You can't tell me nothing about no self. I have a whole group that I'm attached to. I have a whole group of people at home that I can call and they go, hey, Baba, which means dad or father. Hey, Baba, when you coming home? Or look at the food we cooked. Or did you cook this? Or did you eat that? Or what clothes are you wearing? Or these things. Right? So when people put that type of propaganda out, which is what we talked about before, it's again to cause division. So then if I got to argue with you the fact that I listen to rock and roll, but if I tell you that the roots of rock and roll come through African people, my Big Ma Rainey, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, all before they switched it up on purpose in the 50s and started to, give this credit to white artists, Elvis and others. It's okay for her to listen to rock and roll. It's part of her roots, not just because she got mixed parentage. And what the heck she got she's a movie. One of them is a TV star, and the other one's a movie star or something like that. Model.
She was a model.
Okay, so if they didn't want her to be a model for some reason, they should have never picked her. But they wanted her for something. They wanted her for something. But if she identifies with a group that's larger, then she don't have to sit on there and have this argument with people. So they put all of these psychological blockages in our head in order for us to continue the killing, so to speak, of each other. No different than what happened in Rwanda and Burundi.
Right.
All because we want to be attached to a group that did what? Oh, okay. That's what I thought. Silence and crickets and tumbleweed. Because you can't only talk about a group that built what? What did they build? What did they give to the world? And you want to be like this group. But yet I'm going to argue with you. I'm not arguing with you about that. It's not even, take that off the table. But we want to continue. That's the propaganda that they continue to put out there in front of us. For us that continue to have this fight about who I am and what I am. Well, who I am and what I am is African. That's who and what I am. You're never going to change that. You're not going to have me argue about the fact that I listen to rock and roll. I listen to old blues. I listen to Mississippi Delta blues because I know where it comes from. And I know where I come from. And when people don't have a strong constitution based upon who they come from and who they are, then you're able to use propaganda to split them apart.
So just so I could clear that up.
Oh boy.
My thing, because I want to clear that up where I'm going. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying anything that he's saying is not true. But where do we start with trying to repair ourselves with that? We can easily say, well, they should go out and get therapy. They should do this. As a community, where do we start on the road of reparations and repairing ourselves collectively?
You know how we start that? It's real simple. How you doing today, sister?
True.
I didn't say nothing about what color you are. I ain't said nothing about what you look like. It's how you doing today, sister. Just common respect. Hey, brother, how you feeling today?
But when they go back in home into the walls of their own reality, and they still are dealing with what was said and what was done to them, we have to start with some forms of other repair. That is a start, but there's other things that have to be done that we as a people, we have to do together, and individually we have to do some of these things. There's other ways that you could go into. It's easy to say that. That's easier said than done. The reality is, if this person have heard these things for 25, 30 something years, like water wearing on a stone, it wears it down. They have to go in and some of their own repair. It starts with themselves.
Yeah,
absolutely. But there's other things as a community that we have to do. I agree. I don't have, you know what? I'm just gonna tell you. I got people who even say assalamu alaikum to me and don't wish me peace. So even just the greetings and just saying hello to a person and not having the genuineness behind it. Let your aura and your energy reflect that what you say. Don't act like you're helping somebody when in reality you're not. But I'm just saying there's a way that we have to go at that. The reality we know. We should not be allowing anyone to play with our psychic like that, but it happens. It happened with us in slavery. If that's being the case, guess what? Mothers wouldn't be fearing as much as we are for our sons because we watched our sons during slavery get killed and castrated in front of us. We wouldn't still have that stuck in us if that was what we should be doing. We would not be as protective of our children. Like, I know I'm a hovering mom. I'm very protective of my grands and my children. We text each other, because the reality is you could walk out the door and don't return. So there's certain things that we know, and there's certain things like me even talking to my daughter, she said to me, she didn't understand some of the stuff with racism. I said, baby, let me tell you why some of us still saying these things. Me, myself, living in the projects off of Carpenter Road, going to Carpenter Road School, moved out there right before I turned 5, going to a summer program. We could not be on that side of Webster Road, on the Carpenter Road side of Webster Road after dark. We wouldn't even be on Webster Road after dark. Guess what? We had dogs sicked on us and we had to run home. Sick and ran home plenty of times. She don't understand that. She didn't understand why when she heard someone saying, don't give the baby the white doll, give the baby the black doll. She didn't understand why that was being said. Should it matter? Some of us say yes and some of us say no. But she didn't understand that as a reality. And I told her, when you start to thinking back, like I got a cousin, she said her mom didn't give her nothing but white dolls. And she just a few years younger than me. But some of that was because of what they, how they felt like what they should have. It was the colorization. So when you start to going further on, I had one relative, little relative. I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? She said, a white doctor. I said, oh, baby, you could be a doctor. You don't have to be white. I corrected that then. But where did that come from? And we still have some children and some people who still think that way. We have to do better as we start to seeing our children doing better. We quicker to throw a basketball in the hand. Now, I'm just saying collectively, not us individually. We quicker to throw a basketball or football in the hand of our children than we are to throw a book in the hands of our children. And I loved, it was a picture I saw on Facebook that had you remember the poster from Love and Basketball. They said love and nursing. The girl was going to school to be a nurse. The young lady or the young man was going to school to be a nurse. They held the book up and they took the same poses and pictures as in Love and Basketball to show we more than just a sport.
Okay, so saying all of that, right? Mm-hmm. That goes back to understanding the psychology of who and what we're dealing with.
Exactly. And that's the point that I wanted us to move into. So what do we do? And just making us aware. We got to be made aware of what's going on in order to be able to fix it.
Right. Well, so if we don't understand Okay. From kindergarten to 12th grade in college. If we don't understand that this is an indoctrination, and it is, and if we're not doing things as families outside of that system to reverse or balance out or be greater than the indoctrination, then you're going to have people that say, I want to pick the white down. You're going to have people that's going to say that I want to pick the be a white nurse. You're going to have people. So at what point inside of that, regardless of the years of getting beat up, do we say, you know what, time out? I went through that. I'm not going to have that for my children.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm not going to have that for, because it's an easy fix. Right. It's a real easy fix. It's not a very difficult fix. Do people want to go do it? Do people want to put the work in? Okay, so you went through these horrible things with people and your family that did this, and over here on this side, you got the dog sick, the cross sick on you, and all of that stuff's horrible. But you're able to find something inside of you attached to a group to help to fix it. Doesn't mean that you don't have the memories. That means moving forward that you can also say to your children and your grandchildren, no, this is how this is going to go. Okay. That comes through knowledge of self, knowledge of who we are, knowledge of who we come from, and knowledge that we're fighting against the system that's constantly wants us to be like it, but don't want us to be like it. Right?
Right.
I've heard this be said, and I've been repeating it, is we're the only group of people that they love for what they can get from us, but hate us enough to kill us.
Yep. True.
Always, I'm riding down the street in the car and hear some music bumping. This white kid. Exactly. They listen to our music, and folks want to consider it, okay, well, whatever. Right. So why is it not okay for her to be okay to listen to rock and roll? That's fine. It's our music. Right. It comes from us in the first place. But again, the show was for propaganda purposes. So if you watch the show, cool, watch the show, but analyze what you're watching.
So let's take the show out of the equation. It happens in reality.
Absolutely.
Without the show.
That was their reality too. But that's their reality as well.
But without the show, I've seen it happen in reality, and it just was a reminder when I watched that show of that's what's really still happening.
It's racism and white supremacy. Really still happening. Period. Yep. That's all that it is. Yeah. And so I
only brought it up as being a show because I ended up seeing it. Not because,
but and you just said it a few minutes ago.
And I know that's propaganda because that's what they use in all forms. But still, the same way, it's propaganda. It's still a reality.
So then, once again, if we're not going out and reading, so we can stop the bleeding of the propaganda, so that we can heal ourselves, then we continue to partake in it. That's the difference between group esteem and self-esteem. I'm attached to a larger group that did all of these wonderful things in the world. To both. Okay.
Because I'm going to work on me and making sure that those individuals that's there in my care, I'm going to make sure that their self-esteem, I'm going to work to build up those self-esteem so that way they can be a stronger part of the group. I can never eliminate the self. I will never eliminate the self.
The group is what gives the medicine.
I will never eliminate the self.
Okay, well, that's your view, but the group is what gives the medicine. Yes. Because great grandma, who used to go out in the woods in order to get stuff to make sure we didn't get sick during this time of year, learned that from another group. Now, not knocking however people figure they got to do what they got to do.
Right.
But if we're not willing to go out and say, okay, I need to find these. Well, you know what, man? Well, I just ate something last night that made me sick. Well, I can either go take this other medicine that can make me sicker,
so why would that be a denial of why would you have to deny self-esteem in order to be able to accept the group? You can still accept the group and group esteem and still have to be working on your self-esteem. Is there a difference? Is it something that I'm missing that's in there? Because in order to be
healthy for the group, you gotta. It's both and. I'm
Okay.
not denying
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I'm not denying one to the
Okay.
other.
Okay.
But what if my group shows me this level, and I'm here, I want to be part of the group. That doesn't mean that every day. So as a teacher, I go and I study so that I can be more effective for the group of young people that are in front of me on a daily basis.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
I don't have 4 or 5 people at my house helping me study this stuff in order for me to go and prepare to do battle against the stuff that I know my young people are facing when they come to me.
Right. I understand.
Right. But I am not larger than a group. The group is
No.
always going to be bigger than me. Has to be, because it's a group. And they're
Right.
bigger and there's more.
Yeah,
And I
right.
want to be
I
attached to
agree.
the group. So if I just me and isolate myself, this is my opinion. If I just isolate myself, I'm no good for the group. So I have to be the example to show what the group should be attached to, what the group should look like, what the group is about.
Right, right. And there's many times that we have to sacrifice ourselves for the group.
Absolutely.
I'm not in dispute about that. But there's also those times, like you say, you have to reflect and stay off to yourself with reading to be able to come back and be a good, greater part of the group. Because there's times where I've separated myself plenty of times. And I had to separate myself in order to refuel. I say to refuel myself in order to come back and be stronger
because the
for
group,
the group.
some of the group they ain't well enough in order to give you nothing but trash.
Yeah. So
let me repeat myself. Some people in the group are only well enough to give you garbage. And if you're an open receptacle for their trash and you want to receive it, then you will. And guess who's the one that gets sick? You. Meanwhile, I'm okay. I can walk away because I know I can go to Sister Audrey and sit at her house and give her all my garbage.
Yeah,
and I
agree.
ain't bringing nothing
a
over to
molded
eat.
apple can rot the batch.
Yeah, that's right.
But a healthy branch can bear much fruit. I definitely agree with that. And it takes time sometimes. Like I said, I had to have me and my God time. I had to go in and ask God, what can I do to make myself better, to make myself be much stronger, because it might be an issue or a situation that I ain't never encountered. But in order for me to be better, to be able to deal with that situation, I may have to take that few moments in that me time out to be a stronger person. But I've never forgot the group when I have to go back and refuel myself to take care of self. Those that's on here that know me, that talk to me, know that, because we've had those kind of conversations in the past. But it's times where you have to take that time just to refuel yourself and get yourself and your own set of energy up in order to be able to, I would say, push out forward for the better of the whole. You know, I mean, it's a lot, but I ain't gonna never deny self-care.
No.
Y'all know me. I always tell y'all, what do I tell y'all every time I talk? Make sure if you don't do anything else, do something great for yourself.
Because then
go out and get your own self-care done. Take care of yourself. Take that time to meditate. Take that time to read something that's going to be good and positive for yourself. Take that time, women, men too, mani petty, you know me, I like that. A massage can even help release a lot of endorphins in yourself and release a lot of the things that you're going through just through simple massage. Yes, some of the things you have to do, those things to take care of yourself and make sure that you're taking care of, number one, because once you start to incorporate and pull down the weight of others and with helping and trying to assist, you can make yourself sick. You definitely, you definitely can. So make sure that you take care of you so that way you can be stronger for the group and for the whole. You have to do that. So I'll let you go ahead because I know we're getting close to time, and then I'll do my announcements and stuff for the close out of the show for this week.
No, and I'm never going to say not take care of you, but you have to be as part of the chain. You have to make sure that your chain, your link, as you are strong, so the chain can never break. It's in its purpose and in the fact that it's supposed to bind us together.
Right.
If the link is weak, if the weld spot is weak, then the chain's not going to work.
It's not
And
gonna work.
and I'm not talking about not taking care of, because people have to find many different ways to take care of themselves. But we also have to make sure that we do the part of the real work is to study why we're doing the things we're doing, why we're listening to the propaganda, and what other propaganda that we're taking in order. And I better see some people with the book list. I ain't forgot about that. Why? What are we going to do to balance the propaganda out? Right. So, at what point in time, even in that show, was there something else that was discussed, or did they come up with something else other than being accusatory and argumentative? I don't know what the show was about. I've never seen it, and I don't watch that type of stuff anyway. Not to say, but the colorism exists. Why does it exist? Where does it come from? We need to be very, very clear about that. And then what are we going to do in order to stop it? Some people are just in survival mode. So just eating from day to day is a blessing. For me to be able to get food and keep a roof over my head, that's a day-to-day struggle. And so I'm not worried about the other stuff, even though we should be very clear where the other stuff comes from. But if I got to worry about eating, I'm not sitting around there worried about that stuff. I got to worry about where I'm gonna get food at. So I mean, if we study like we're supposed to, every holy text says, "Study to show thyself approved," and not just the text, everything else. There's other stuff for us to study. Being in nature, that's the greatest teacher. That's the greatest teacher, is being in nature.
I agree. I definitely agree.
So, but we don't want to go out there because the bugs. Well, you in their space. Bugs been here for millions of years. What you tripping about? That you are in their space. So I don't like bugs. Okay. They don't care nothing about that because you're in my space. You've been in my space. I've been here for millions of years. But go out there anyway. And that's a place to rejuvenate and be in touch with God as well.
Right.
But go study. Stop playing around and go study, because that's what we're not doing.
So for clarity, I ended up looking at something that was the celebrity. It was the what is it? College Hill celebrities, and there was the case where that particular thing came up on the case. I didn't talk about the whole series, just that part right there, and that was because that was just something that we could just talk about on here. However, on those particular episodes, they were in Alabama. They were at HBCU in Alabama. They were at Alabama. No, it wasn't. It was Alabama State, and they ended up going and visiting the lady who was the neighbor to Martin Luther King Jr., where they had many of the meetings when they were talking about the civil rights movement. So those same young people got a chance to be in that lady's house, where they got the chance to learn a lot about it, and a lot of things that they had no clue of that even existed. So I like the fact that even though they had the negative, might have had some negative propaganda with it, that those young people still entertainers. It was the basketball player Imam Shumpert was one of the people that was on there. They all ended up going to those places and learning something. And what's her name? New York, that was from Flavor Flav show. She was on there. They all ended up getting a chance to learn something about history that made a difference in them. You could see that they was like light bulbs coming on, like, oh, well, we didn't even know this existed. Some of the things and some of the part of them sitting down and being able to talk to the lady who was his neighbor, who she was a small child when they used to meet there with her parents, talking about some of the things, like, who would think that Ray J, I think Ray J was on there. He was talking about his father, his grandfather had a busing company that he used to drive many of the people actually to some of those marches. Sometimes we see the silly side of them, we see the entertainment side of them, but we don't know the depths of what they're coming through. They just like us. They came through some of the same struggles and things that we came through. So it was just interesting to me that I never had any idea. They ended up talking, and it was good because they ended up talking about how that affected them directly. And she was saying how she played into the role of what people claim she was after she started dating Kanye West, which she started talking about how she had to find herself a way to get up out of those characters, that role of what people thought she was and what she fed into. So it was actually good because it ended up talking about some of their path and their road of what it was that they actually did go through. Not to talk too much about them, but that was pretty much it. As far as that, I know we done got to the 6 o'clock hour. I know we're getting ready to close out. Any closing parting words before I go and do the closeout and everything?
Ladies and gentlemen, we still have work to do.
Yes.
Don't for once think, even though we see the struggles and woes of what's going on in the world, and we can go back and even see that some of the young leadership in certain parts of West Africa is breaking part of its chain away from colonial powers that were in charge, even though they're picking up the mantles of other powers, which behooves me. But that's my opinion, my thought. We too still have work to do. We still have to work on our study. We still have to work on passing information. We still have to work on being able to build the propaganda that we need to have within us in order to be able to work at defeating the propaganda that continues to tell us that we're less than and that we should be separated. So, okay.
I said we're number one.
Remember that? Y'all better. That's why I don't know. It's just really difficult. I ain't mean to cut you off. It's just really difficult to have people not know that just you got computers on your hip and computers, but we worried about social media more than we worried about studying who we are and where we come from. Right. Don't nobody. I could care less about any of these people that have absolutely nothing to do with my everyday existence and the existence of my children, the people that I have around me that I consider to be family. Sister Audrey, make you free.
Right.
He gonna take that name whether he like it or not. And our families that are more important than me sitting around here wondering about somebody else's propaganda. That's a waste. I mean, we have to do. And those of you all that tune in every week, and we see you and we appreciate you, y'all are hubs and spokes in the wheel. So don't sit here and act like just because you're sitting here and you getting fed over here that you got to go feed other people. That's your job. Right. And I see somebody on there, Ayotunde. You have a last name that is Yoruba. So we need to talk.
Sister Hanifa.
Yeah, because that's a Yoruba last name. Hanifa. That's Arabic. I think so.
She's our Muslim sister.
All right.
I've been knowing Sister Hanifa for years since I was a teenager.
All right.
I've been knowing her. She's a very sweet person.
Beautiful.
Online and in person. She's a very sweet, beautiful person. Beautiful. Her and her children. But yes, definitely. So I'm just gonna say this. If you was on my Facebook page yesterday, you heard me say that I was doing a 3-day fast. It was over today. I made it through. I haven't made it through in several months. So it's a big accomplishment for me. And I'll just say that though you all in this little tidbit, I am diabetic, but I do watch my blood sugars while I'm rolling through. And I mean, I felt more energy and I feel more energetic now than I did when I started it. So I could feel some breaks in my diet, in my blood sugar level. I could feel it. I can feel it personally in my body. So I was like, Allah, if you with me, I'm going to be with you. Help me get through it. But I did make a statement yesterday that it was a trial for me to ride in the car with my 3 bean pies, and I was on the 3-day fast. So my brother said, hey, look out for your brother. I got it. Look, he ain't fasting. But when we break this camera, we breaking this bean pie open. And I'm going to take just a small part because I don't want too much. Like I told y'all, I'm diabetical. So we're going to make sure, hey, my brother Mickey can help themselves. But I just wanted to say that because a lot of times I like to buy the bean pies. I can make them. But I like to buy them because they support our Muhammad's University of Islam, our program that we have, and the Bean Pies is a national program that we do. So inshallah, hopefully that means by the will of God, soon. I did put the bug in the ear of some of our brothers the other day. We're gonna have bean pies in Flint for sale, but the brother in Detroit, he does have them. He gets them every 2 weeks. They help some of the funds they use for their MUI that's down there locally in Detroit, but it's definitely used for the national. We have families who can't afford to pay. So this helped us offset, tuition for those. That's another thing we need to think about in our community. Yeah. What can we do to offset the cost and tuition for our children to be able to have a better future? And not even our children, us as a family have a better future and everything. Right. So there's things that we can do. We just need to sit down and be ready to seriously sit down at the table and talk. But as we close out, I'd like to invite you all out, as always, to one of our services that we have at the mosque at 1417 Stevenson Avenue. It's at the corner of DuPont and Stevenson, right across from Ballinger Park. We meet every Sunday at 11 a.m. If you can't make it to the mosque, you can always go to noi.org and look at one of the dynamic messages that's there. You can go back into the archives and look at the messages. I especially ask you to go back and look at the ones from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We have services on Wednesday and Friday night, which is a study group in which we learn self-improvement. The series that we have, the series of books that we have over 20, it's 21, 22 different books that you can look at that we have, and we go over those. We have an assignment. We get questions and answers. Those meetings are Wednesdays and Fridays, 7:30 to 9. Then we have the brothers who meet on Mondays. I think it's about 7:30. And then we have the sisters. We go to Detroit for our class on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. These classes that set up specifically for the men and women are not for you to necessarily join, but for you to be able to come in and ask more questions, to be able to see if it's something that's a fit for you. Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. I've had plenty of people who they're not ready to be Muslim, but I know that good church homes, you got good ministers that's out there. I don't have a problem with saying this. I got a couple of pastors. I say I'm an unofficial member of your church. And if they call, I'm there. They know who they are. I don't want to call one or two and then I forget a few. So I'm just going to say that they know who they are. Just call me. But we want to make sure that we get out there. We want to make sure we tune into all of the shows that's taking place on A10. You got the bump on Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. Winters Hall and Mickey Jordan. And then they have guests every now and then. You have Mickey Free. Mickey Free. That's Mickey Free. Then you have on Wednesdays. You got Reverend. Is it Reverend Rance or is it just Trevor? No, Trevor. Solutions. I'm gonna let you go ahead and get the rest of the shows out. Yeah, we're gonna let Mickey Free give you some of those great things so I don't miss none of them.
Yeah, on Wednesday we got Solutions. We got a new host on there with Clack and Trevor, so it's gonna be nice as set up.
Okay.
And then Thursday, the Winters Hall should be back doing that stuff. But all these coming back in October.
They not coming back to October?
Yeah, the Solutions and the Winters Hall show, they'll be back October 1st. And on Fridays, Ashley be back to October 1st for that. Before Sister Circle, community conversations with Carol and Stephanie. And then, Tanya on Saturdays. But it's some new stuff we work on.
Right. They all coming up. They'll be back in October.
Yeah.
I took my break in August. They taking their break in September.
Thanks.
Right. I just like to say this as we get ready to close out too. Don't ever forget, long live Eric Mays. His birth anniversary is next week on September the 16th. I would just call for you all to individually go out and do some service work, in the community. In honor of him. I think that would be very nice. I plan to do something that day, but it's on Monday the 16th. But I mean, that whole weekend, you got some stuff going up, and I just throw that out there. There's a lot of different things that I'm hearing that's rumbling in the background that's going to be taking place. Find it and be a part, but more importantly, be a part of your community anyway.
That's right.
Wherever you at, take care of the folks around you. Make sure that you are an intricate part of making sure things are taking place. Until next Sunday at 5, You all have a beautiful week and enjoy yourself. It's going to get back a little warm. You could turn off the furnace. Turn off the heaters. I hope ain't none of y'all had to turn on y'all heaters this week because it did get a little cold. Put an extra cover on the bed, but don't turn them furnaces off. It's going to get nice this week and y'all enjoy. And I say peace.
Peace, fam.